After consistently following the same upper body workout routine, I've completely transformed my physique. So today I'm not just going to walk you through my whole upper body workout, but I'm also going to share with you all the tips and tricks I wish I knew when I started training, how to get the most out of your workouts and to see the best results possible. First, before you start any of your workouts, it's super important that you warm up. So we're just going to do 5 minutes on the treadmill or a cardio equipment of your choice, and you're going to go into 5 to 10 minutes of dynamic stretching, and this is going to help improve your mobility, reduce the risk of injury, get the blood pumping. It's really important that you warm up your full body, not just your upper body on upper body days or your lower body on lower body days, because think about it, you're going to be using your entire body for your workout, so why wouldn't you warm it up? So also link my follow along full body dynamic stretch routine just if you want a more structured warm up to follow. First up, we have rear delt cable flies, and this has honestly been a staple since the start of my fitness journey because the rear delts are a tiny little muscle in the back of your shoulder, but they can honestly make a huge difference to the appearance of your back. You want to set the cable machine up with the pulleys at about chest height, and I actually prefer not to use handles at all. So I'm literally grabbing onto the cable where you would usually put the attachment. Having your hands crossed over means that you're going to be starting the movement with a stretch already in your rear delts, which is really important because it's the time under tension that we're looking for that's going to be really crucial for muscle growth. Pull the cables outwards in an arc-like motion. You want to make sure that you've got a soft bend in your elbows the whole time. You want to pick a pretty light weight here so that you can avoid using momentum and really focus on feeling your rear delts working rather than letting your traps take over. You can also do a single arm variation, which is pretty much the same, but I really like it, especially if the gym's super busy. Moving on to one of my favorite back exercises, the lat pull down. Now, you might think that the lat pull down only targets your lats, but that's not actually true. I actually like to use a variation that targets my upper back more. And the way I do that is grab the bar with my hands just a bit wider than shoulder width apart, and I'm leaning back slightly, so I'm pulling the bar towards my upper chest. When I'm pulling downwards, I like to imagine trying to get my elbows into my back pockets, and I'm really, you'll notice I'm slowing down the movement dramatically on the way back up. This is because if we're training to get the most muscle growth, we want to slow down the eccentric part of the movement, and that's where your muscles are stretching. This becomes especially effective when you're stretching the muscles under tension, which is exactly what we're doing in the upwards part of the movement in lat pull downs. In general though, whenever I slow down the movement, whatever exercise it is, I always find that I can get a better mind to muscle connection. And studies have actually shown that when you picture the muscle working and you have better mind to muscle connection, then your muscles will grow more because of that. You'll also notice that I'm using a hook grip with my thumbs over the top of the bar, and this can help direct your focus onto pulling with your back more rather than pulling with your biceps or your forearms. For our third exercise, we're going back to the cable machine and doing a little bit of side delts. You're probably going to see quite a few different ways you can do lateral raises, but no matter which variation you try, it's going to be hard, so pick a lightweight. This is one of my favorite variations at the moment, and one that I'd recommend for beginners because I feel like it's easier to connect with your side delts using this variation than it is with things like dumbbell lateral raises. Set the cable machine up to just above knee height, and I actually like to use a cuff attachment. You usually see people using these for cable kickbacks, but for this exercise, it's really helpful because it completely eliminates the need for grip strength and allows you to focus more on working your shoulders. You usually get more reps as well because your grip's not going to fatigue first. One thing a lot of people struggle with, myself included, is increasing the weight in lateral raises. And how are we supposed to progress if we can't increase the weight? Well, I have a little hack for you. So if you're a beginner, start with your elbow more bent like I'm doing here. And then as you want to increase the intensity, you can straighten your arm more because that's going to create a longer lever. And when you're lifting with a longer lever, you're going to need more force to lift the same weight. So it's going to put more tension on your side delt. Although it will be easier to lift the weight with a bigger bend in your elbow, you do sometimes need to be careful because it can shift some of the emphasis off of your shoulder and onto other stabilizing muscles like your traps. But also, if you're someone who struggles with shoulder issues like I do, then having more of a bend in your elbow can be really helpful because it does reduce that stress that you're going to feel in your shoulder joint. Next, I've got a spicy little superset for you. Essentially, all a superset is we do one exercise for say 10 to 12 reps, and then we go straight into the next one with no rest. They're so useful if you don't have much time to work out, and also increase the intensity of your workouts a fair bit. There's a few different strategies you can use when it comes to deciding what exercises you're going to put in a superset, but generally I like to superset antagonistic muscles, and these are basically pairs of muscles that work against each other to control movement. movement. So when one muscle contracts or shortens, the other muscle in the pair relaxes and lengthens. Some examples of antagonistic supersets would be a chest exercise followed by a back exercise, or a quads exercise and a hamstrings exercise, or like we're doing here, biceps and triceps. Alternating dumbbell curls are really good if you're a beginner because it gives you the chance to focus on one bicep at a time while still working both. So you want your feet shoulder width apart, core engaged to stabilize your torso, and pull your shoulders back as much as you can to prevent slouching. Also make sure that you're not locking out your elbows fully at the bottom of the movement because that's going to take some of the tension off of your biceps, which is not what we want. Also, when you're curling each dumbbell up, make sure that you're rotating your palm so it's facing the ceiling at the top part of the movement. If you're finding that you're struggling because you're using too much momentum, there's two things you can do. One, use a lighter weight. 2, try a seated variation, which is basically the same but you're sitting on a bench. And that's going to make it a lot harder for you to use momentum, so you might actually automatically have to use a lighter weight. Next, you're going to grab a slightly heavier dumbbell and we're going straight into overhead tricep extensions. I usually like to do this sitting on a bench because it does help me stay more stable, but the bench wasn't free, so we're doing it standing. You want your feet shoulder width apart again, brace your core, and it's going to be easiest to grip it with your hands crossed over in a sort of diamond shape. So the starting position is where the dumbbell's lifted overhead, your arms should be fully extended, and your palms should be facing upwards. Bend your elbows slowly to lower the weight behind your head, and make sure you're keeping your elbows fairly close to your head so you're avoiding excessively flaring them outwards. I really love this exercise for tricep growth because when the dumbbell's in its lowest position, you're also going to be feeling the most amount of tension. So you're getting the most amount of tension in the stretch position, and obviously that's what we need for a load of muscle growth. So definitely an exercise that gets you a lot of bang for your buck. Now that the bench is free, we're going to do some seated dumbbell shoulder press. I prefer this a lot more than standing dumbbell shoulder press because you're a whole lot more stable and you're usually going to get more out of it because you'll be able to push more weight with good form. If you ever find yourself waiting to use a piece of equipment, by the way, there's no harm in just going on to the next exercise in your routine, or if it's the last exercise, you can always find an alternative to do. If you're struggling to find alternatives, just drop them in the comments and I'll give you some ideas, because honestly there's always going to be an alternative exercise, so let me know in the comments because I read all my comments and I love to help you guys out. But back to shoulder press. Some of the things that really helped me was having my feet flat on the floor and really pushing through my feet to help me stay stable and lift the weight up. Make sure you're bracing your core and your palms should be facing pretty much forward. You can have a slight bend like you can see I'm doing here, and the reason I like to do that is because it just takes a bit of that stress off my shoulders and just feels more comfortable for me. Your wrist should stay stacked in a... oh, this is such a tongue twister. Your wrist should stay stacked in a vertical line with your elbow, and you're going to lower the dumbbells to about 90 degrees or just below. So here's the whole workout. You can screenshot and take it with you to the gym, and yay! Workout complete! You've completely trained your upper body and you're going to be feeling it tomorrow. Sorry, not sorry. I'm actually planning on making this a series because you know how we did our muscle growth series? Basically, we're taking everything we learned on how to build the most muscle possible from that and applying it in these workouts. So make sure you're subscribed. I love you guys so much. And if you want to learn the science-backed ways to build the most muscle possible, which is what we're going to be applying to these workouts, then make sure you check out this playlist next. I'll see you there.